Hi, welcome to this edition of Garden Guns. Yet another video I have been itching to make. What are we talking about today? We are talking about this design masterpiece. And what is it? This is the FX Impact MK3. And boy, what an incredible piece of engineering. We'll talk about the overalls on the rifle in the summing up, but let's just do a quick breakdown from tip to tail, as I normally try and do. So, the Impact MK3, this is, I believe, the standard version with a 60 centimeter barrel. It's a smooth twist X barrel, so it's the FX proprietary barrel, and this barrel is designed more for pellets rather than slugs. Pardon me. So, at the front, we've got a moderator that goes into the shroud with the barrel inside, and this shroud and moderator combo works superbly well, as hopefully you'll hear when I'm testing the trigger. It is, you know, it's really quiet. It comes back into dual pick rails, one on either side of the receiver for mounting your torches or your IR illuminators or a laser. Below that, we've got a 480cc bottle that is up to a 250 bar fill. I've been filling it to about 230. The stats that I've read online say you get around about 370 shots per fill. I've probably been running it down to 120, so 100 bar. Yeah, I've probably been getting around about 120, 120 over that, maybe a bit more. Yeah. 120, 150 maybe. To be fair, I'm pretty rubbish at keeping count of those things. I know I should probably try harder at that. Anyway, underneath the rather nice carbon bottle, you've got another little bit of pick rail for a bipod. It goes into the magnetized filler cover, and underneath there you have the FX push filler mechanism. And then you come to your first of 3 gauges, and this gauge it gives you the pressure for your bottle, i.e. your fill pressure. Then we come back into the trigger mechanism, and this is, for me anyway, one of the standout things. I've always been led to believe that triggers on bullpups are pretty rubbish. But, I started off with a Reximex Ixia, and that was better than I expected. And then every single bullpup I've tried up to here has been an improvement on the previous bullpup that I've had to test, culminating in this. And this, without a shadow of a doubt, is it is an incredibly nice trigger. I really love the trigger on this. So let's talk about the trigger. Other than the fact it's got a really nice trigger blade on it, I find it really comfortable for my finger. The actual trigger unit itself, it's got a really short but it almost feels like spring-loaded first stage, and then you come up against a really definite ledge. And it feels as though you should have to pull more to be able to break through it, but it really is it's sort of like a squeeze on the ball of your thumb, and then it lets go. It really requires minimal effort, but that ledge sort of lulls you into a false sense of security, thinking there should be a bit more, but it just is literally just a squeeze, and it's supremely predictable. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the trigger is absolutely fantastic on this thing. I think that's enough about the trigger. Let's move on. So the one thing I really had a bugbear about is this AR-15 style safety catch, and for me it's in totally the opposite direction. On all the other rifles that I've shot, including my Smith & Wesson 1522, in the horizontal mode, or horizontal, so basically forward position, it's normally in safe, and the upward position would be fire. On this, the upward position is fire, and the forward position is the upward position is safe, and the forward position is fire. I'll get there eventually. So yeah, safe and fire. To me, it's exactly it's the wrong way around. It's to the point where it really does do my head in a little bit. It's a bit like somebody dragging their fingers down a chalkboard, or a knife scraping on a plate or something. But anyway, if that's the only problem I've got, I can probably live with that. So then we come into the biathlon style cocking lever, and this thing, once again, a work of engineering genius. It's got a really nice sort of breakout on it, and then the actual pull itself is short. It's really definite. Yeah, super smooth. Yeah, and fast. You know, you are going to be able to cycle through shots very quickly. So for quick follow-up shots or for rapid shooting styles, you know, this is an absolute boon. Rubberized AR-15 style pistol grip, and then we come into the side-mounted. This pressure gauge is for the second regulator. This rifle has 2 regulators, and we'll talk about that in the summing up video. Anyway, this is for the second stage, and I believe that this is an aftermarket mod done by the previous owner, because I think it might have been, I think it was originally at the back here, but you can move it forward with a mod kit. I don't think it's the FXs are being sold like that yet. Yeah, you know, does it make any difference where it is for me? No, not really. Then you get into the area where the plenum chamber would normally be on a firearms certificate version or the higher powered international version, which in the UK we don't have that. Then we're into the magazine area here at the back. The magazine on this is a 38 shot magazine in 177, and that basically just fits into the side here once you've cocked the mechanism. It's simple to locate, and then you've got a catch to release it after you finish shooting. Then we go into a knurled nut at the back here, and this is for the adjustment of the butt pad, and also if you want to grab hold of the butt and shoot with your arm underneath for extra stability, you've got finger indents there as well, which I found really nice when I was doing the bench rest. Then we come into the cheek pad at the back. Once again, hats off to FX. It's really nice to have basically something that is shaped that you can put your cheek on, like a sort of, I think it's sort of rubberized. Yeah, it's minimalist, but it is comfy. You know, I found that nice. It's a lot nicer than a lot of the other bullpups that I've shot that literally have just been you've been putting your cheek onto basically bare metal. So that's a nice touch. And then we're into what I think, if I remember correctly, I think they call this the macro adjuster. This used to be what they called the hammer spring adjuster. So it adjusts, I believe it adjusts the hammer spring. And then we're into the micro adjuster, which is the quick tuning system. Once again, this is something we don't actually have on the UK rifles. This has been taken out, this is fixed. You know, if you wanted to, there are kits available to be able to install that yourself. Having said that, along with any modifications that you make to your rifle in the UK, it is up to you to make sure that that rifle stays below 12 foot-pounds. And if it's going above that, either, you know, change your pellets or take it to the gunsmith and get it detuned. Because if you do get caught with a firearms rifle and it's not on your firearms certificate, you're going to be in a whole world of pain. Anyway, we're into this third gauge, and this is the gauge for the first stage regulator, which is the regulator that does most of the hard work from the bottle. But once again, as I said, we'll talk about that later on in the video. Just as a point of interest, so normally on the international rifles, the firearms rifles, you'd have an adjuster here, and there would be a further adjuster in the back there for your to be able to adjust your regulators, to be able to ultimately tune the output. And for those that are lucky enough to be able to use the more higher power versions, this allows people to be able to share their settings online. You know, what pellets they're using, what settings they've got their rifle dialed up to, and, you know, allows them to share details to be able to provide, you know, shareable solutions for shooting, which I think's, you know, phenomenal. Anyway, right, I think that's enough about the rifle. What we'll do is we'll scoot straight to the shooting portion, which, as I said, I did yesterday up at the range, and then I'll come back and have a quick summing up. So, back with you in a minute. Right, so here we go. I think we're knocking on the door 35 yards for this. No, 35? Yeah, 35 yards. It's over 30 meters, I know that much. So it's going to be 5 shots, JSB exact heavies at 10.34 grains, and then it's going to be 5 shots of the JSB, ooh, flying thing, JSB standard exacts 8.44 grains. So I'm going to shoot the top left target first with the heavies, and the top right target with the standards. So let's see how I do. Hopefully I will be able to put a group on paper, especially if I get the mag set up properly. There we go. Safety off. Let's see how I do. Try and get comfy. Oh man, seriously. Okay. What the heck? Wow. Okay, let's go and get the target and have a quick chat. Right, so how did we do? Well, unfortunately the sun's come round, so this is I'm gonna suffer a little bit with exposure. But anyway, this is kind of the tale of two groups. So that's the JSB heavies, and those are the standard JSB 8.44 grain pellets, 453s on the head size. Well, the heavy group, 3 pellets are in that little bottom area there, and then 2 pellets at the top there that open it up a little bit. You know, that sort of accuracy to me is absolutely insane. Well, come on, I'll talk a bit more about that group in a minute. This group here, the 453, sorry, the 8.44 exacts, I was surprised at how spread out that was. I mean, you know, at 30 yards, the majority of that group is still well within inside a thumbnail, but, you know, obviously my ammo prep maybe wasn't good enough, or it just didn't like those pellets, or, you know, yeah, I wish I'd had a newer tin, fresher tin to be able to shoot through the rifle, because the Diablos, the heavies, were a brand new fresh tin, and the 8.44, the exacts, they were a lot older. They had oxidization on the pellets. Even though I tried to make sure that there was no crush damage to the skirts were showing, you know, signs of scoring, you know, because the pellets had been in the tin and been knocked about a little bit. So and I think I think that's where you get to with this rifle. This dual regulator, it's got the ability. So that's the bottle. So this first stage regulator. Let's try not to flag myself. So this first stage regulator, and then the second stage regulator, gives this rifle insane consistency. It basically provides such a well metered charge of air every single time that the consistency in its performance will show glaringly any inconsistencies in either the ammunition that you're using or in your own shooting technique, i.e. Change in trigger technique or change in position on the rifle. And I think that's what we see here. The reason that group wasn't 5 shots inside one hole is because I was coming back, I was moving slightly on the rifle and, operating the lever rather than being stock dead. Maybe if I had been a little bit more still and I hadn't moved around a bit, maybe I would have put all 5 pellets through that one hole. And likewise, a tired tin of pellets with maybe slightly inconsistent wear on the skirts, or maybe a nick in the head, you're getting to see a spread in that point of impact. And I think that's what you can see there. The shooter on this one, and then poor ammo choice on this. So, and I think that then leads me into my major issue with this rifle. You are paying an awful lot of money for an amazingly engineered piece of kit. This rifle is yeah, it's an absolute masterpiece of design and engineering, in my opinion. And it's definitely worth the money in terms of that. If you are getting what you pay for, and you are, I think you're paying a reasonable price for it. Do I think it's relevant to the UK market? Without a shadow of a doubt, for the shooter that wants that extra couple of % of performance, then, yes, absolutely. You're going to need to pay the money, and you're going to need something like this to be able to do that with. It would be very, very interesting to see how I think it's the Panthera stacks up. Their precision rifle that FX are now doing, because if they're using this system within that rifle, to see what that rifle is capable of in terms of performance, especially over longer distance, would be very, very fascinating. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to do a review on one of those, or a chat on one of those. For the firearms market and for the international market, well, I definitely see this as a viable alternative to, say, 22 rimfire and 17 HMR. You are paying more for this again. I mean, for a decent 22 rimfire or 17 HMR, you're paying, around about the £1,000 mark, maybe less if you just go for a basic one, a good CZ457. My 17 HMR synthetic sporter, I mean, that costs just 500 quid. So you could buy almost 4 of those things for one of these. But the performance on this is just insane. As I said, I keep using that word because I'm blown away by it. I think if you took the time and you took the trouble to really dial this in at those higher power levels, you will be able to get repeatable performance that's just not available unless you hand load your ammunition. But we're not abroad, and we are in the UK, so 12 foot-pounds. Would I buy one of these? Obviously, if money wasn't an object, then if I had loads of money in the bank, this would be a brilliant piece of kit to have in the collection. I'd love to have one. But for most of us out there, we've got to be careful where we put our money, and we've got to be really sure that we're buying something that we truly want and we truly enjoy. And I think that's where this rifle kind of lets the game down for me. It's been a real... I've only had a week with this. I think I might have mentioned in the first part of the video. This came in second-hand to Leicestershire Airguns, and I begged Phil and Tracey to give me the time of this rifle. So the week that I've had, most of it was spent trying to work out exactly what to do and how to get the results and the performance out of it. And it wasn't until I settled on the heavies and I started weighing them that this rifle really came together, and I really started to see these incredible results. And that sort of shooting is not really me. I am a pick the rifle up, grab a tin of pellets, head out down the range or into the garden to do some plinking kind of shooter. And I shoot out to mainly 40 meters most of the time. You know, down the range I'll push it a bit, but as when I do pest control, and you know, the rare occasions I do go out and do any pest control with an air rifle especially, I only shoot out to 40 meters. So I tend to practice to 40 meters, you know, occasionally pushing out to the 50. And in that respect, I've shot a lot of other air rifles that perform more than adequately well with a lot less work involved on my part to be able to get the results. Because of that consistency, as I've already said, any sort of variance in pellet, this really shows up. Any variance in technique, this really shows that up. And I'm too lazy. Gotta be honest, I'm a bit too lazy to be able to get the most out of this. It's going to be really interesting. So I'm gonna end this video here on that. You know, am I impressed? 110%. Would I buy this rifle? Well, on my budget, no. I don't think I would be able to make... I'm not... Yeah, this isn't the rifle for me. If I was looking at it for an alternative to a firearms, you know, an actual firearm as a hunting tool, then if I had the money, I would definitely consider it. I would trade my 2.2 rimfire in and my 1.7 HMR, thinking that this would be able to do both jobs, especially with the ability to be able to dial it down. Right, so that's the end. Keep an eye out for the next video because I think it's going to be interesting. I've got an AGT Eurogun, a Mark 1 Eurogun on test. I haven't done much with it due to the fact that I've been concentrating on this for the last week. I've just zeroed it in so far. Yeah, I've got the Eurogun on test, and I'm going to be really interested to see how effectively a cheaper, older bullpup compares to this engineering marvel in terms of performance and in terms of its ability to put a smile on my face. So, somebody's just started streaming. Perfect time to finish this. Keep an eye out for the next video. All the best. Thanks a lot for watching.